My mill locked me out of my own house 3 days in a row, by user Stella crab cakes. My 24M mother-in-law, 60F, was evicted from her house and all of her other children have refused to take her in. Refer to my Ida post. My wife, 30F, and I were nice enough to let her stay in our apartment until she got her housing figured out. This process was supposed to take 2 weeks but it turned into 3 months. She hasn't helped around the house, and started to eat our food that she didn't pay for and turned my living room into her bedroom where she nods out and watches my TV all day and night. Last week my wife and I called her out for milking this entire situation and now she's starting to barricade me from the house every time I come home from work as well as hiding my work shoes and stealing my clothes. We tried to kick her out but she's refusing to leave and calling us assholes even though we took her in. I'm sick of the petty bullshit that this 60-year-old woman is playing when we were nice enough to let her stay while she figures things out. She is a sociopath and now I understand why the other siblings didn't want her in their homes. Entitled Parent has their daughter swimming naked at a public pool, by user Thatrandomdev. To start off, I go swimming at my local rec center, which is pretty popular. I also mainly swim underwater, because I find it much easier than holding myself up. This is important. This happened a few days ago. I was just chilling in the deep end, swimming underwater, like usual. About 20 feet away, in the not-so-deep area, I thought I saw a small butt. Whatever, I've seen a lot of skin-colored suits. I come up for air, and then when I look ahead I go holy shit, there's actually a naked child in this pool. I start feeling awkward, so I turn back around and just stand there for a bit. After a bit, I just go back to swimming. After about 30 seconds underwater, I feel myself getting pulled up, so I just push myself up to the surface. Now, entered entitled Mom. Mom, what the hell are you doing? Me, what? Mom, you're looking at my child's parts. She's only 5 you pervert. Me, I'm sorry. Mom, I saw you look at her a few minutes ago. Then you went underwater. Me, oh I assume you are the mother of that naked girl? Mom, so you admit it. You did look at her. Me, on accident when I came up for air. I turned around. I then get pushed underwater. She actually held me down for a bit. Then, someone jumps in the water next to me and I get pulled out. I then start hearing her screaming that she was assaulted and violated and other shit like that. For the record, I wasn't really in danger, mostly because I was only under for about 3 to 5 seconds. Anyways, time to enter the absolute fucking legend, lifeguard. Lifeguard, ma'am, why were you holding this man underwater? Mom, he is a pedophile. He was looking at my daughter while she was naked. Lifeguard, I'm sorry, naked? From what I've seen, he hasn't left the pool. Mom, well sure he didn't, but he went underwater while my daughter was naked. Me, well yeah, because I really only swim underwater. I can't even see that far underwater, it gets foggy. Lifeguard, wait, is your daughter in the pool? Mom, well, yes. Why does that even fucking matter? He's staring at her. Lifeguard, no need for language, but please explain why your daughter is naked in the pool? Mom, because she doesn't like swimsuits, but it doesn't matter, call the police and have this boy arrested. Lifeguard, excuse me sir, but can I hear your side of this story? Me, well I was swimming underwater, and when I came up for air, I saw a naked child in the pool, about 20 feet away. I just turned around and after a minute or two, went back under. 30 seconds later, she was pulling me out of the water and all this began. Lifeguard, alright, I'm going to have to ask you to get your daughter out of the water and clothed, then we will have to talk to my manager. Mom, finally, something is happening towards punishing this pervert. The lifeguard just winks at me. It was at this point I realized this guy already knew what actually happened, and doesn't intend to punish me. I had to go with them, cutting my night short. Although, it was worth it for the fallout. At the pool manager's office, she started yelling the moment we got in about how I was a pervert staring at her naked daughter, the lifeguard assaulted her, the police needed to be called, blah blah blah. The lifeguard then explained what happened from his POV, I gave mine, then she gave hers. This is everyone's story. Lifeguard, I saw 2 people arguing, these 2, and from what I heard, she was mad because he was staring at her daughter or something, then she pushed him under and held him down for a few seconds until I pulled her off. She started screaming about him being a pedo and staring at her naked daughter and I asked what she meant. She had her daughter swimming naked in the pool. Me, I was swimming underwater, and when I came up for air, I noticed there was a naked girl. I turned around because I felt awkward, and after a few minutes, I went back under. Then she came and pulled me out and started screaming. She basically just said what lifeguard said, then she dunked me, and got pulled off. Mom, he stared at my daughter's vagina, and when I tried to talk to him, he screamed at me. He tried to hit me, so I pushed him. Then the lifeguard came and pushed me and hit me, then screamed at me too. And the manager, so how about we now check the cameras? Mom, suddenly flustered, no, that's not necessary, let's just leave. Lifeguard, no, let's just watch them so that we can get proof of him being a pervert. Manager, lifeguard, great reasoning. Let's do it. After this, she got in trouble. Not for the naked thing, she really was just told not to do that again. No, she was in trouble for assaulting me. She's not allowed in there for a year, and the police were called. I was asked for a statement, and I told them what I told the manager. I was asked if I wanted to press charges, I said no. I'm only 16 and don't feel like having to enter the legal world, as well as I don't want to completely ruin this lady's life. She then screamed "fuck you" at me, the manager, and the lifeguard. That was the last I saw of her. Those two guys are fucking legends. If you read this, love you guys. Thanks for reading my story. I know it was kind of long, but I really needed to vent. Bye. Update, a very kind Redditor has told me I can still press charges. I looked it up, and that is true. I have decided that I do want to be thrown into the legal world. I will be reaching out and seeing what I can do. I'll keep you guys updated. Update 2, that was fast. I am still able to press charges confirmed. I have to go to the police station. I'm getting ready to go now. Update 3, she was called into the station as well and flipped out. She is denying this, I guess. According to a police officer who reached out to me, I guess I'll be going to court. I'm still figuring this out. I guess I'll see. Update 4, she's been charged. With some legal help from the previously mentioned officer, she's got charged for assaulting me. Not sure if she's been arrested, but we got her. Update 5, she got arrested, let's go. Edit, grammar. Edit 2, I had to change some time statements because I didn't have enough karma the first time and I just loaded the draft. Edit 3, holy fucking shit. This blew up. Thanks for the awards and support. Love you all. Edit 4, holy shit, thanks for the gold. Edit 5, holy shit again, 8 silvers, 3 golds and a platinum. Edit 6, to clear up some confusion. Hope this edit helped clear some things up. Crazy liar dad finds out where I live and attempt to give my apartment to his random friends without my knowledge, by user Calinative07. So this is long, I have a TLDR at the bottom lol. To add some context, I'm F25, my parents are so crazy to the point to where me and the majority of my family had to cut them off, for me personally my dad completely, and my mom calls on occasion. My mom also tries to overstep, such as inviting him to family events he's specifically not invited to. The reason is he tries to steer every conversation and attempts to talk about himself. PPL usually don't care or want to hear them. He argues with PPL, threaten their lives, and she purposefully does these things knowing they'll cause an argument and she gets joy out of it. So needless to say, sane people don't want these issues in their lives. My dad is delusional and narcissistic to the point to where he thinks he's famous, and claims everyone runs up to him for pictures and says he's famous and someone he knows is making a movie about him. Lies about it obviously because no one has ever seen this and it's a running joke. People laugh at him, he thinks it's with him, not at him. He's lost all of his friends due to his poor behavior. Such as arguments, belittling, non-stop phone calls. But to the story of his lies and delusions. I have an apartment and I didn't give him my address B/C. We aren't on speaking terms and threatened my life because I wouldn't give him my personal info so he could take out loans in my name. Like that's an obvious no. Also I didn't grow up with him so I barely know him. He has apparently told people he has an apartment, mine, that he lets his daughter, me, live in. This is what I've been told. He likes to pretend to be a big shot. So I guess he told some people who needed a place to live they could stay at his spare apartment. He got my address from a family member, I assume my mom, due to the fact that no one I know speaks to him. One day I get a call from my apartment building manager saying there are some people at the gate saying they're here to move into your unit. Is this correct? I was just as confused as she seemed, as well as the people he sent to live at my place. He somehow thinks it's his place. Mind you, it's my place. I pay the bills, and I didn't even know he knew my address. So I go out to meet these said guests as there was much confusion. These 3 people, 3 random sketchy older looking men. Side note, I would at most let a friend stay a few nights if needed, not random strange men. I ask what's going on? My building manager stayed B/C. She wanted to know what's going on and wanted to help sort it out, and she would also know who's moving in and out B/C. She's in charge of leasing and the building isn't that big, we all know each other. The 3 men proceed to tell me they're moving in their place. We're here for the keys. You're his daughter, right? He said you'd be out by the time we got here and keys would be at the front desk. We all looked and I said, do you see a front desk? I asked to see what was the address. We thought maybe wrong address? Nope, my address. So the guy said your dad said he kicked out cuz he said you're freeloading and he had you leave the keys at the non-existent front desk. By this time all 5 of us were confused, but they had my address. I said he doesn't even have my address, so how he got it. By this time they're trying to call him to sort it out, he's not answering at the moment. So I explained to them, how you or he got this address. I haven't spoken to him in about a year and how I'm freeloading or what he's told you, but this is my place. What's going on? Y'all need to figure it out with him, but I have no place for you, Sredi. They try to get me to call him, I said no, and calling won't change anything, and this isn't my prob, so I can't help you. BTW, they didn't seem threatening, it was just random and weird for all. I hear one guy on the phone talking to my dad. I hear him telling him she's lying, etc. Ask her to show you the lease. At this point me, one of the guys and my building manager are all looking like this is odd, and he looks embarrassed. My manager stepped in at this time luckily. She told the men, you all must have the wrong place, she's on the lease, the only one. You will all have to leave and sort it out. I can say despite them looking sketchy initially, they were as calm as could be in their odd situation. Because in all honesty the only fault they had was believing my dad. They thought they were moving into an apartment for free. If I was in that situation I wouldn't be happy either. After apologizing and before leaving I heard one of them saying, I knew something was up, he always lying. I asked, what did he tell you? One of the men said he told me he had a spot for him to move in, all furnished and paid up to the rest of the year. I kicked my daughter out cuz she's freeloading, but claimed he couldn't get out of the lease. I said something like, well, like your friend said, he is a liar. How, why and what made him do this? I never gave him my address, he isn't on a lease, I don't even talk to him. So, I'm Sredi but hope it works out. What my dad thought would happen. But like I said, he's delusional. He probably assumed all he was saying was true. Or maybe he assumed there was a front desk and whoever was at the front desk would just magically let 3 random PPL in. And I'd have no say? It's all so crazy that I can't even attempt to understand, there is no use lol. Also I told my manager thanks, and if anyone ever comes when I'm not home please give me a call or call 911, if I have a guest coming I'll be home to greet them. TLDR, my delusional dad who I haven't spoken to in over a year somehow got my address and told 3 of his friends my apartment was his and sent them to move into his apartment. Entitled Mom Tries Taking My Necklace and Cane, Gets Kicked Out of Doctor's Office, by user Pichakoi098. Hello. First time posting here, but I have a lot of entitled parent stories, from my own mom to others I've encountered in the wild. This one is from a few days ago. On mobile, so sorry about any format issues. For some context. Since last year, I've been sick. At first we thought I'd need surgery, however the doctor wanted to check something out first and sent me to another doctor. After a couple months of testing, this was the last one needed. I also had messed up my leg during this time and it made it extremely hard to walk on my own. My doctor had suggested I buy a cane, which I did. Another thing about me, while I'm an adult, I have extreme baby face syndrome. People have thought I'm an 8th grader while I'm a freshman in college. My height of 5 feet doesn't help that either. Now, with context, let's get to the story. Peach equals me. NB equals nice boy. M equals entitled mother. SG equals security guard. I'm sitting in the doctor's office, waiting for me to get called back. The doctor's office was absolutely packed, so it took a while for me to get called back. After 5 minutes of waiting, a 7-year-old boy and a mom walks in and checks in. Both sit down in front of me and I don't really think anything of it. I move my cane more towards me in order to avoid them tripping and look at the TV as I wait. After a couple of minutes, I hear a small voice speak. Excuse me. I look down from the TV and see the little boy across from me looking at me. Me, yes? Can I help you? NB, how come you have a cane? The mother looks up from her phone and looks at me then him. Don't ask people those questions. Me, oh it's okay. I don't mind people asking. I had an injury and the cane helps me walk. NB, does it hurt when you walk? Me, sometimes, but the cane helps. I know kids tend to be naturally curious, so I didn't take NB's comment as rude. After he asked, we started talking about how our days were going, our age, and eventually got talking about birds. This kid was an absolute encyclopedia about birds and told me a lot of facts birds. One of my favorites he told me is that a toucan's skin is actually more translucent, which is crazy. NB noticed my necklace, which is a metal raven, and said, "Wow! I like your necklace, is it a raven or crow skull?" Me, it's a raven skull. You know a lot about birds, that really awesome. NB, yeah. I really like. Cutting into NB talking, excuse me. I looked to her, she had this look of pure hatred and disgust. Me, yes? Is there something wrong? Why are you wearing a skull around your neck? That's kinda inappropriate, don't you think? Me, no. It's just a metal raven skull, nothing inappropriate about it. It's kinda satanic, isn't it? Me, what? Her saying that blew me out of the water. In what world is wearing something like a metal bird skull satanic? Me, ma'am, it's just a necklace. It's nice, I liked it, I bought it. You really need to take it off, you're going to corrupt my son. We're Christian. Looking over to NB, he looked as dumbfounded as I was. NB, Mama, it's just a necklace. Be quiet. To me you need to take that off right now and give it to me. Also, you look too young to be using a cane, you're just wanting attention. Me, taking none of her BS, ma'am, I'm not giving you my necklace or my cane. And if anything, you're the one wanting attention and ignorant for thinking that just because my necklace has a bird skull on it is satanic. Also for thinking young people can't have a cane just because they're young. Young people use things such as canes and walkers all the time. How dare you talk back to me? At this point, she got up and tried to grab my cane and necklace. I was ready to push her back, but the security guard who was coming inside for some water stepped in between and me. SG, ma'am, I'm going to need you to sit down and leave this person alone. What? No, they're satanic. I'm trying to free them from Satan. SG, ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Now. This kind of behavior isn't tolerated here. But, my son has an appointment. I can't leave him here. SG, can you call his father? If not, you will have to reschedule. NB, my dad's in the car. At that point, SG escorted out of the building and NB's dad came in to watch his son. NB's dad apologized profusely for his wife's behavior and stated that she was a little eccentric. After 10 more minutes, I was called back and said goodbye to NB. After my appointment, NB and his dad were gone and I went on my way. Something that I think is funny, however, is what NB's dad had said regarding I don't even know why she said that it was satanic, she's not even Christian, she's an atheist. Edit, a lot of people have been asking for a picture of what the necklace looks like, I'm not sure how to add a picture but I'll definitely try to add it. wants our upgraded seats for free, by user Ducal14. This happened a few years ago, pre-pandemic, when flying overseas from the US to Europe. My girlfriend and I were taking a trip to visit a few places in Europe for a vacation. This was her first time overseas and the first time she had ever flown on a long-haul flight of more than 3 to 4 hours. In the lead-up to the trip, we decided to upgrade our seats from economy to whatever the premium economy variant was for the airline. Seeing as this was my GFS first time on a long flight, I figured it was worth the upgrade for the extra room and perks. In total we paid $150 total for both of us to upgrade. We boarded the flight and got settled in our seats, which were in the last row of the premium economy section on the right side of the plane. There was no noticeable division or indicators between sections, other than a small plaque above our row said premium economy or whatever. My girlfriend took the window seat and I sat in the aisle. And her son, 9 to 10 years old, then board and are seated several rows behind us, but in the middle row of the aircraft, 2-4-2 seating. Her son has his nose buried in his switch, as you'd expect a kid his age to do. They barely get to their seats when M comes up to our row and stares at us, with no greeting. She's standing in the aisle as other passengers are trying to get around her to get to their seats. "M, can you swap seats with my son and I? He likes having a window seat and we don't have one." My GF and I look back at where her son is sitting and then at each other. I try to politely decline her request. "Me, unfortunately no, ma'am. We paid to upgrade to these seats, so we'd like to keep our assigned seats for this flight." M keeps staring at us for a couple of seconds. More people are awkwardly trying to shuffle around her as she stands there. "M, my son is not a great flyer, he does better when he can sit next to the window." "Me, sorry, but like I said, we paid more money to sit here in premium economy. We're in the last row, so perhaps there is someone else in the rows behind us who would be willing to swap seats." At this point, a flight attendant notices that the M is holding up the boarding line and comes over to tell M to take her seat. She goes back to her row and my GF and I think that is the end of that exchange and go back to getting settled. After boarding completes, M and her son immediately stand up and walk up to our row, standing right in front of us with all of their stuff in hand. The kid still has his face buried in his switch. "M, can we swap seats now?" "Me, ma'am, I already said that we aren't willing to swap seats. As I've said, we paid more so that we could sit here, so we'd like to keep these seats." Awkward infinite pause. "M, that's just really selfish of you. My son isn't the best flyer and likes to have a window to look out of. It's not that big of a deal for you to take our seats so he can have a window." At this point, I should mention this was an overnight flight, so there isn't going to be anything to look at except darkness for a majority of the flight. "Me, I'm not going to argue with you, ma'am. I don't think it's selfish to want to sit in the seats I paid for. I'm sorry you don't have a window seat for your son, but that doesn't mean you are entitled to our seats that we paid an upgrade fee for." M continues to stand there silently for a few seconds, as if we'd give in eventually and move if she didn't leave. "M, I'm guessing you don't have kids if you acting like this." "Me, ma'am, I don't know what to say to you at this point. If it was that big of a deal for your son to get a window seat, then you should have done so in advance. Did you try asking anyone else if they were willing to swap seats?" "M, well, no one else back there is traveling together so they aren't going to want to swap." I turn around and see an older couple in the row behind us, a pair of co-workers in another row that were watching a video on one of their phones while laughing and a middle-aged woman sitting alone in the aisle seat with the window vacant. M then starts to open up the overhead bins to start putting her stuff in there. "Me, ma'am, we are not swapping seats with you. I think you are just trying to guilt us into giving up our seats so you can sit in premium economy. If a window seat was really that important, you would have moved on and asked other people behind us once we told you we weren't willing to move. You just want us to give you a free upgrade." M becomes furious at this point and continues to call us selfish and how what I said wasn't true. She then starts to bend over and grab my stuff like she's going to evict us from the row. "Me, lady, please don't touch any of my stuff and leave us alone." Thankfully, the flight attendant comes up to ask what the problem is. M tries to go on a rant that we were denying her kid a window seat and were being selfish and rude to her and her son. After she was done ranting, I explained the actual situation to the FA, "Ma'am, they aren't obligated to swap seats with you. They said no, you need to take your seats now. Please go back to our row." FA escorted them back their seats as M huffed and puffed. She then spent the rest of the flight glaring at us from the aisle seat. When the plane finally landed, she rushed to the front of the aircraft ahead of everyone and gave me a solid bump as she passed by with her bag. Definitely wasn't an accident. Her kid was fine for the whole flight too. Anytime we saw him, he was either asleep or was heads down playing his Switch.